I'm a college freshman, and my football cleats planted in the practice field of Princeton University. A few thoughts are going through my mind. How did I get here? I was supposed to just follow the flow of traffic, go to a Big Ten school, major in engineering. Am I going to survive my Ivy League courses? What in the world am I going to do when I graduate? My thoughts are interrupted by my position coach. It's the first day of practice, and we're learning about our bread and butter running play. Now, I know a little something about running back. I grew up with Barry Sanders and Walter Payton. Speed, agility, the ability to throw a block, occasionally catching a pass out of the backfield. But the first step that we learned today is actually backwards. A drop step. The second step is a directional position step. Now I'm thinking to myself, Coach, I'm running head on into traffic. What on earth are we doing moving slowly? The answer there is vision. Both in the sense that my eyes can survey what's in front of me, but also myself and the other 10 members on my team, we know exactly what play is about to be run, and our opponent doesn't. Let's take it back a bit. I'm a junior in high school, and I'm a standout athlete at a school that's known much more for its academics. Our athletic program is not that strong at the time. I was being recruited by several local Division III schools. I had no intention of going there. I was going to go to the University of Michigan. I was going to give up my football days, and I was going to watch the Wolverines on Saturdays. But then the Ivy League started calling. I did not see that coming. Let's see how this goes. First was Harvard's coach. Harvard's recruiting coach wanted to meet me at my high school with my head coach. When he showed up, he had the fattest Ivy League championship ring on. He talked about if I came to Harvard, I'd be able to be part of a winning program, and I'd win one of those rings myself. Next up was the University of Pennsylvania. Penn's coach, he wanted to meet me at my high school, along with my head coach. He showed up wearing 2 Ivy League championship rings. He told me that if I came to Penn, I'd be part of a winning program, and I'd get one of those rings for myself. Then came Princeton's recruiting coach, Don Dobbs. Princeton's coach wanted to meet me at my home. Rather than see me in front of my coach, he wanted to see me in front of my parents. Rather than see me at my school, he wanted to see me in my neighborhood. He wanted to see me. Coach Dobbs was envisioning the player that I'd be on the team, but also the man I would become once football was over. I made a lifelong friend that evening over the course of a couple of hours. As a result, I took my talents to Princeton University. Now, over the course of those 4 years, we did not win many games at all. In fact, both Harvard and Penn, their coaches came through on their promise. They won championships. I have zero regrets about making my decision because I was not going for the wins. I wasn't expecting to play college football. I was going for the network. While I was at Princeton, I would meet my co-founder of my startup, another one of Coach Don Dobbs' recruits. Very fortunate that I made that connection. We stayed in touch with Coach Dobbs, and just a few months ago, we actually were on a phone call with him. We updated him on what our life was going on, and professional lives and families, asked him about his children. And not only did Coach Dobbs invest in our business, but he reminded us how proud he was that we've become the men that we are, the leaders that we are, making the contributions to society. He knew that that teenager that he met 25 years ago would become the man that's standing before you today. After those first two steps, the next process is the running back actually receiving a handoff from the quarterback. Now at this time, I'm receiving the ball from the quarterback, but every member on the field has a role to play. Everybody in my uniform is accountable for what's going on this play. One missed assignment, one missed block, and the integrity of this running play is damaged. Everybody from the receivers on the outside to the big lineman on the inside, everybody plays a role. When I think back to my recruiting trip to Princeton, two things really stood out. The amount of food that they present in front of athletes and the number of people you meet. Everyone from the athletic director to the coaches, assistant coaches, current players, recruited players, students who aren't athletes, even some people who don't even attend the school, but they just get excited around recruiting weekend. They come to meet the next batch of recruits. Of all the hands that I shook on my recruiting weekend, one person stands out. From the moment I met him, Princeton's equipment manager, Hank Towns. You wouldn't know it at the time, but Hank was the longest tenured person working for the athletic department, serving since 1970. I'm not that old. This was only 30 years, 1970 and late 90s. But he'd been working there and meeting impressionable young athletes for 3 decades before he ran into my father and I on this recruiting trip. Hank would ask me 2 simple questions. What jersey number do you prefer? And what's your hometown, son? Barry Sanders fan, I'd like number 20 if you got it. And Chicago, Illinois. I don't know if it was the number of athletes Hank had seen before me or if I was just exuding nervousness at going from a Chicago Public League high school to D1 collegiate athlete at the #1 school in the nation. But he told my father a line that I'll never forget. He made sure he said it in front of me. He said, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. And over 4 years, Hank did just that. Whether it was making sure I had the right gloves to handle the ball on a wet, rainy day, or just giving me conversation, talking to me in the locker room. Hank was always in my ear. Literally always in my ear. The way the locker room was set up, it was numbered, so locker number 19, locker number 20. Hank's equipment desk was literally right next to my locker room. I couldn't escape him if I wanted to. We talked about any and everything. Life, family life, parenthood, what life is like outside of sports. He was the parent to me when my parents were a time zone away, and I'm grateful for that. I didn't know it at the time, I found out recently, but there was an upperclassman who had actually asked for jersey number 20 the year that I was coming in. Hank told him no, he had it reserved for someone special. Sorry about that, John. A little over a year ago, my co-founder and I were working on getting our network up and building strategic partnerships. And there's a very prominent business owner who graduated from Princeton, a basketball alum. And I knew I had a good shot at making a good impression with him if I came with the right ask. I wasn't asking for finances, I wasn't asking for money, I really wanted a strategic partnership, some of his connection. Had my pen and my paper and everything ready to go. And seconds into the call, before I could drop my first joke, he said, so, Princeton football, huh? You must know Hank. Talk about an icebreaker. We laughed and talked for 10 minutes, and at the end of that conversation, I would leave with a warm introduction to a great friend of his who happens to be the CEO of one of the largest youth organizations in the nation. Here was Hank, 20 years after I graduated, still taking care of it. Even the best drawn-out play must be executed to attain the goal. While I'm running the ball, speed and agility comes in. Those linemen up front, they're taking care of those people in front of them, making sure that linebacker doesn't come through the gap. Those receivers are cutting down those corners, making sure nobody's blowing us up in the backfield. And if everyone does their part, if everyone achieves their goal, we can reach the goal of a running play, which is to achieve 4 yards. Some will go for longer, some will go for less, but the average successful running play is just 4 yards. And when that happens, a lot of you won't see it on TV, but a lot of you will see it if you're in the huddle. You celebrate. Celebration to a running back is a punch to the chest, a knock to the head, fist bump. Yeah, 20, I see you ish. And when you get that respect, you always, always give it back. There you go, O-line. I see you 89. Good luck. Because when you congratulate your teammate, you guys are now better than you were the play before. You're now better than you were the game before. You're now better than you were the season before. Because now you're winning and celebrating those wins together. Not only the home runs, but every little win. It's very important to celebrate those wins. I would survive those engineering courses. I would pass every course that I took. A B is passing. A B is passing. And as a result, I am enjoying a 20-year career as a software engineer. 13 of those years has been with the same company, my current company. Now, within that company, there is a divide between the technical teams and the business teams. Technical teams like us, we are about our deadlines and our defense. But the business team, they actually enjoy work. They actually have a little fun. They communicate. They enjoy each other's time outside of the office. They bet in these NCAA brackets. Technical team, not so much. At the office, there's a divide between the technical team and the business team. The third floor is where the technical team gets it done. That fourth floor, it's like the sun shines brighter up there. There's life. The cubicles have life to them. There's laughter. You can hear enjoyment. My wife's office is a couple of blocks from mine, and a few years ago, one morning we're getting off the train, and one of the managers from the business team, Brenda, she notices this guest getting off the train, and she punches me in the arm. She says, "Hey, you didn't tell me your wife was expecting." I'm a tech team guy. What does family planning have to do with work? Of course I can tell you that. That's what I thought. But I said, yeah, that's our first child in that belly. Brenda went into Brenda mode. A few days later, I get a call from Brenda's teammate. She says, "Hey, we need you to come upstairs to the fourth floor conference room. There's a problem with one of your reports." I'm about my defects and my deadlines, so I run upstairs. I don't walk. I don't take the elevator. I run to the fourth floor, and I bust into the room. They've staged a surprise baby shower. For me. No one does this in the tech team. This is not us. I called my wife. I said, "Come over here. They've got diapers and gift cards." She said, "Why?" They're celebrating us. They saw we're having a baby. They want to celebrate us. That baby bump will be 10 years old this year. In 10 years, I've been with that tech team, working on my professional development, trying to find a path, the flow, the road of traffic to take to make it to that next level of director. I've applied, I've tried to have mentors, I've tried to crack that ceiling and make it to that next step, and it hasn't been working. A very wise younger sister of mine, she says, "You're playing by their rules. Directors play by their own." I said, okay. I knew there were instances where some people from the tech team would jump to the business team. Remember the air up there. A position opened under Brenda's team. Saw the position open, I took it home to my wife and I showed it to her. She said, "Is that Brenda?" I said, "It is. My favorite cheerleader. I would apply, I would be granted the interview, and I nailed it. And I'm now the director of business development, working directly under Brenda. Drawing so much of her leadership style, not just for the office, but for life. I use some of her celebration tactics, some of her motivating, some of her skills. They come in handy as a father. They come in handy running a business. They come in handy when practicing for a TEDx talk. Very fortunate to have made that jump. And for the last few months as I'm working this position, the work is hard. It's much more demanding. But it doesn't feel like work when I'm being celebrated. Back to the last question I had on that football field. What in the world am I going to do when I graduate? Well, just turned 41 this week. Got this 20-year corporate career. I am a husband to one wife. I'm a father to 4 children. And I've delivered about 9/10 of a TEDx talk. To you lovely individuals. Very good. And my hope is that as we move through life, we can take these paths that seem like it's not the right way, that seem like that's going to be too difficult, that seem like nobody's doing that. And that might work for us. The path that we choose may be something that we're creating ourselves. And it isn't until you step back and look at it, you recognize that you've always had that vision. You've always taken accountability. And maybe you just need to celebrate, even if it's only a 4-yard play.